Welcome to Film a Bay, the show that brings you insight into filmmakers and filmmaking in the Bay. In today's show, we speak to Dr. Dieter Vogts of the NMMU and the research student Timothy Potgieter, who turns me into a puppet. We also speak to Tanya de Vos about makeup, as well as our favorite segment on films from the media workshop. Today, we have the Judas Complex from Siyasanga Gambi. But first, we speak to Dr. Dieter Vogts of the NMMU. Welcome, Dr. Dieter Vogts. Dieter, can you please explain to us what the work that you're doing with 3D animations?
Okay, the filmmaking process for computer-generated movies is quite a long and involved process. So what we're looking at doing is making the early steps that involve pre-visualization and animation a lot easier. So one of the ways that we are trying to make this easier is by making use of the Microsoft Connect, so that we can have a cheap version of motion capturing, so we can directly capture animation from that. The other types of projects that we're looking at is by taking storyboarding pictures and converting those directly into 3D models and camera positions.
How does this work compare to the rest of the industry? What's going on right now?
Okay, what typically happens when animation is created or 3D scenes is created is there's a 3D model which has a skeleton inside it, or you can think of it as a skeleton, and if you want to position it, you have to take each individual little bone and you have to move it. So the one way we try to solve this particular problem is, instead of having to pose each bone individually, you can draw a stick man. And so as far as I know, everybody can draw a stick figure. So what we then do, can you draw a stick figure?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's good. So you draw your stick figure, and then the computer works out what you would like this model to be posed as. So it works out where the arms must be and the legs, etc. If you don't feel like drawing it, you can use your body as a reference point, which Timothy will be showing you just now. The Microsoft Connect then goes and looks at you, and it works out where the person is, and then it works out where the person's arms and legs, etc. are. Now, using that, we then go and animate a 3D model. We tell it, for example, that if I move my left hand, then I want the left hand of the model to move as well, for example. But you don't only have to do that. You can also go and make it do other things. So now you're trying to animate a spider. A spider does not have 2 arms and 2 legs. So in that particular case, you can be clever. You could get 2 people to work together, and one does one set of legs and the other one does the other set of legs.
Has this tool been used in the industry?
Well, at this stage, the tool is still in the research phase, which means that there's a number of steps that it has to go through before it would be available for public consumption, so to speak. But we do have a close collaboration with Triggerfish in Cape Town, where they have tested it for us a number of times and provided us with feedback. And what they basically told us is they liked the idea because the way that most CG animation companies work is they go through a process. So they first come up with a story, then they go into a process known as pre-production, where they have to work out what the scenes are going to look like, what characters they need, what must the backgrounds look like, etc. And one of the ways that they do that is they come up with storyboards. Now, storyboard is basically like a comic that has a number of panels, and in each little panel, the artist will go and draw what they would like to be shown at that particular point. The next process then is they take those hand-drawn pictures, and then they have a squad of artists that go and recreate those individual panels in 3D. They will go and position the models, like I told you, with the individual fingers, etc. They will do that for the entire storyboard. So when we showed them the tool that we had made, or that's partially made so far, they liked the idea very much that they could draw the panels, and it automatically gets converted into 3D, which means that this entire step of a couple of weeks or maybe even longer of converting a picture into an actual 3D scene can be done almost instantaneously.
Future applications for this tool, what are they?
Well, the way I see it being used is either for professional filmmakers for a quick prototyping tool where they can quickly sketch something and they can see what it would look like in 3D, or maybe even for amateur movie makers who want to make their own 3D movies, who knows.
Thank you, Dieter. Now we speak to Timothy Potgieter, one of the students working on this groundbreaking project. Welcome, Timothy.
Thanks.
So, what exactly do I have to do?
Okay, well, my project is called 3D puppeteering for Blender using the Kinect. Okay, so now that is a mouthful, but to break it down, I'm basically focusing on the field of, or in the field of 3D animation. Okay, so the point of my project was to make it a bit more easier, a bit more intuitive to be able to animate 3D models. So what my project is about is using more natural methods, such as your body movements, to animate instead of using the conventional ways of doing things where someone sits behind a desk and clicks for hours trying to figure it out. So the clever part is that the Microsoft Kinect comes in and it can see your whole body and it can track your movements and it can turn those movements into virtual movements of the 3D model. This is mascot mode, or this is like a full body puppet. So whatever you do, the gingerbread man's going to do. So if you move your right arm, then his right arm goes up there. And if you move your left arm, then your left arm goes up. So now if you maybe do like a little march on the spot, then Jim does the same and he walks, which, if you can see, it's very easy. Very easy to, and this is actually doing animation now. So that's a 3D model, and if this was something that needed to be in a movie, say Shrek, like the gingerbread man in Shrek, then all you would have to do is make a few movements and those types of things. Yeah, you can kind of do all sorts of movements, and Jim the gingerbread man will track your movements.
It's Jim.
Yeah, I called him Jim.
Timothy, thank you so much for showing us Jim the gingerbread man and how you actually get around to doing this.